Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation, the Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation and your Sunday after dinner show. Thanks for taking some of your time tonight on Mother's Day. To all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Hopefully your families took care of you today and let you get a little rest and let you do the dishes tomorrow, make sandwiches and stuff for everyone tomorrow. Today, though, is a day that we're going to have a great guest. But before we start off, let's pay a little remembrance to Jessica Ellis, a strike soldier who was killed in action, U.S. Army combat medic on May 11th, 2008. She was with 2BSTB at Fort Campbell, and she was lost in Iraqi freedom Keep her friends, her families in your thoughts and prayers today. So, every year on this day, they all go through it. And of course, this is the exact day, Mother's Day, when she passed away last in 2008. It was May 11th as well. So keep that in mind as you go through the rest of your day and think about her and her friends and family. Just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Tonight, we have a 20-year Army veteran. He was a 13 Fox fire support specialist and a 25 Sierra satellite communications systems operator maintainer. Now he works as a contractor with the Defense Department, and he's also the North Carolina State Public Relations Officer for the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. So without further ado, let's bring on David Curby Foster to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, David.
Welcome. How are we doing tonight?
Good, brother. Good to have you here. Great to, like we were talking in the green room, it's great to just watch those little chats at our job and connect with people. So it's awesome to have a connection that actually winds up being a guest on the show. So thank you.
Yep. No, glad to do it. Looking forward to sharing my story and the organization that I'm part of.
Outstanding. So like I told you, I'm only going to give like a 2-sentence intro on you, and I want you to do the legwork here. So tell us a little bit more about you from as far back as you want to go through the military and how we got to the association.
Absolutely. So I'm an Air Force brat. My dad did 28 years on active duty as an enlisted man, traveled the world. But I was super fortunate. I grew up in Clovis, New Mexico at Cannon Air Force Base and spent all my schooling there. Started college, realized I didn't actually know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And so after a semester, I dropped out and I joined the Army. That was in 1998. And I really just started out with the idea that, I'd get some college money set aside, get a chance to grow up a little bit and figure out kind of where I wanted to go in life. And then 20 years later, in 2018, I finally retired. 15 countries over 20 years, got to travel the world, married, divorced, and remarried, which is not uncommon for veterans at all. 3 kids. The oldest is 26 and married to a soldier. They're in Graf right now and rotating back to the States. In fact, they've got orders to Fort Campbell, so they'll be in your stomping ground. And then, just one left in the house, and she's a sophomore in high school. And so a couple more years and it'll just be mom and I, and we're going to enjoy the benefits of the hard work and all the things we did while I was in. Enlisted as a 13 Fox, got to do some amazing stuff with the digital system development at Fort Hood when I first came in, pre 9/11. And then on the 10th of September, 2001, I reported to Fort Gordon to go to school to reclass into what was then 31 series and became 25 later on. And so, of course, the next day, the entire world changed on 9/11. And so that really threw everything into a panic. And I'll never forget, Sergeant Major took all the reclass NCOs and put us in the gym and said, look, the best thing to do now is get through this school and get out there in the force and take care of these men and women that had been entrusted to you as NCOs. And that was really impactful. And then, a couple of tours in Germany. I did a combat tour in Afghanistan as a communicator. In fact, weekend after next, Memorial Day weekend, the 44 Signal Battalion is having a 20-year reunion from our combat deployment to Afghanistan. So I'm actually meeting up with some guys in Tennessee, and we're going to spend the weekend together telling stories and burning meat probably. And then 2018, I retired and came back here to Fort Bragg, where we're at now. We'd bought a house when I was stationed here years before, and started contracting, and through that got in touch with the special operations community and kind of meandered my way through a couple of different companies, a couple of different positions. And now I'm fortunate enough to be a IT trainer with the Special Operations Command here. So get to work with some of the best warriors in the world, and I get to make an impact every day. So the association, 2016, got close to retirement, and as many veterans do, I was going through stuff. A lot of anxiety, I was having panic attacks, loss of identity, right? So much of who we are is tied up in that uniform and those core values. And one day, I put my fist through the wall at the house, and Mama said, "Go get help or I'm leaving." And so I did, and I found out that I had some pretty severe depression and anxiety, and started getting treatment, and have come a long way from there. My mental health is better than it's ever been. But back at that time, about the same time, I was introduced to the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association through one of my coworkers, another NCO at the schoolhouse at Fort Gordon. And, in that group of people, I found that community that I was losing. I found that group of people that understand, I always say when I talk about the CVMA, when a combat veteran tells their story, there's blank spots. And no matter how much the people around us love us and care about us and want to be involved, they just can't understand what goes there the way a combat vet can. And so I found the CVMA, and when I started taking meds and my mental health started improving, as they do, veterans give you a hard time. They give you that ration of shit, as we say, and they do it because that's part of our culture. That's part of who we are. But they were genuinely happy that my life was getting better. And so just that brotherhood, that camaraderie, that support that only a veteran or a combat veteran really understands is something that has led me into the CVMA. And since then, 2016, I've served as a public relations officer at the chapter level, both in Georgia. And then after we moved back to North Carolina, I was the chapter commander here in Fayetteville for 2 years. And then just recently, back in March, actually was elected as the first state public relations officer for North Carolina.
Wow.
So that's where we're at today.
That's a pretty good journey right there. When you were stationed in Germany, was your oldest with you there, the one that's stationed there now?
No, so actually, I met my wife while I was in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So I was a satellite communications guy. So I am the Army internet. And when you are on the Army internet and you're deployed and you don't have anything to do, you get on the internet. And so I actually met my wife on hotornot.com. If you guys can go back in time there to remember what that was like. So I was stationed in Germany, living in Afghanistan on deployment. My wife is British, born and raised in England. And so she was in England and we met online. And then when we rotated back after our deployment, we connected in person, and the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, so the oldest, she was 6 when we met. So right at the end of my deployment. And then I did another hardship tour, I guess, in Kuwait back in 2010. And so the oldest went through that, and then the youngest as well. She was a year old when I left, and 2 years old when I got back. So I was gone for almost exactly, Christmas of 2009 to Christmas of 2010. I was gone to Kuwait. So, yep.
All right. Yeah. So the life of the military brat. You were a military brat, and then you have a military brat. So yes, it just keeps going on the cycle.
Oh yeah.
I like that you brought up that you sought help and the help was working. A lot of veterans are so hard-headed they don't think the help is there, or they don't want to admit they have the problem until it's too late. And like you said, you put your hand through a wall, and Mama is the one who said, "I'm gone if you don't do this." And that's probably the switch probably clicked for you. And thankfully that switch clicked, and you're still with us, and you're not breaking down walls. Maybe you go to rage room still, but it's not in your house. But it's good that you got the help, and now you found another community to hang out with. So tell us more about the community.
Absolutely. So the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association, or the CVMA, we're a 501c3 nonprofit nationally, and then all of our individual chapters across the states are either 501c3 or C19 charities. So we are a nonprofit organization from the top all the way down to the bottom. We've got chapters in all 50 states and 5 other countries, so we're a multinational organization. We don't prospect or have any kind of probation period because we're not a motorcycle club. We are an association. The only requirements for full members are you must be a veteran of combat and own or operate a motorcycle of 500 cc's or larger. Our support members are those veterans who do not have combat support or combat service, but want to connect and be involved in the veteran causes and community, and of course also own a motorcycle. And then our auxiliary corps is our spouses for the support and full members. As I said, we've got chapters in all 50 states and I think 5 other countries right now. I'm here in North Carolina. We've got 13 chapters here in North Carolina alone. Uh, yeah. We're not an MC, so we don't have a lot of the same kind of rules as far as how to get involved, and even then, we don't turn anybody away. If you're a veteran and you ride a motorcycle, I can guarantee the chapter closest to you would love to have you come hang out and ride and come out to their events, because everything we do is open to the public. Everything we do is supported. We're connected with the motorcycle communities, and so we get a lot of support from the different clubs and other riding groups throughout the country. So yeah, it's all combat vets. Like I said, it's when you tell your story and you hit those blank spots, it's so impactful to have people that understand what go in that spot. And only another veteran understands those missing pieces that we just don't know how to put into words. They know what goes there because they've got their own version. And so, yeah, just, having that community, and especially after leaving the military and that's so much of our life, being able to reconnect with that culture and I'm an Army guy. I did 20 years in the Army, but of course, our chapters are made up of all 5 services. I think we have a guardian in the CVMA somewhere. I'm not sure. But we give each other a hard time, just like we did on active duty. My squiddies and my crayon eaters and my chair pilots and all those guys. But we get out and we ride. And, there's just something really impactful too about riding. For those of you who are interested in it. So one of the big things about anxiety and depression is it means you're either focused on the past or you're focused on the future. And so one of the best things you can do is find a way to get focused on now. And being on a motorcycle is one of those ways that it forces you to be focused just on that moment. And that's one of the greatest things about the association is, just this weekend, I did 300 miles. I went out to the coast to support an event yesterday and did 100 miles for the day there. And then another just over 100 coming home. So I've got, 13 chapters and each one has an event during the year. So I've got 8 or 9 more events to go to this year minimum before I get through the state at least. So, yeah.
That's a lot of events and a lot of miles, but it sounds like it's great therapy for you and for the rest of the ladies and gentlemen that are riding with you, your brothers and sisters. I see I'm on your page right now, the state page, and I see everyone has your call sign or their name.
Yeah.
How do you guys get your name, and where'd you get Curby from?
So our road names are our call signs. So there's only 2 good ways to get a road name, and that is do something infamous or do something stupid. And mine was absolutely of the second category. So back in 2016, when I joined the association, we still did everything by paper mail. And so it might take 2 or 3, maybe 4 months sometimes to get your membership, and then 2 or 3 more months before you got your back patch. And I had joined the chapter there in Augusta, Georgia, a brand new chapter, pretty much helped them stand up that chapter. And then we'd gone out on a ride. And on the way back from the ride, I was the 5th bike in a formation of about 15 or 20 bikes. And we'd gone through a rainstorm, and so the road was a little wet, and it was hot. It was well over 100 degrees that day. And we were slowing down to turn onto like the highway cutoff, the loop around Augusta. And the back end locked up and started fishtailing. And instead of hitting the bikes in front of me, I chose to dump the bike into the median. Well, the median happened to be a raised curb that was asphalt covered. And so I go by the number 3 bike, and my right mirror and his left mirror actually touched and spun both of our mirrors around. Bike hits the curb, it stops. I come off Superman style. Ambulance shows up, checks me out, says you need to go to the doc, but you don't have to go with us. So I wave them off. My brothers and sisters. So one of my brothers calls another guy that wasn't with us and gets the trailer on the way to pick up the bike. And then one of my sisters calls my wife and says, hey, not a big deal, but there was an accident and your husband's okay. And so she's now grabbed the kids and she's on her way because it's a weekend. And so right there in the parking lot, once they had everything moving, the chapter voted and gave me my road name. So yeah, Curby is my road name. And then let's see, you can see the Curby patch that became part of the persona that goes with it. So for me, you'll see the Curby logo on everything because everybody thinks that's the Curby I'm talking about, but it's actually a curb, like a raised curb. Yeah, and then 2 months later, I got my back patch and already had my road name sewn on my vest. So yeah,
Nice.
either you become infamous or you do something stupid, and that's how you get a name. So it's basically just like call signs and
Military.
radio. Yeah, it's just like everything we're used to in the military. The only way you get a nickname is do something stupid or be lucky.
Be lucky. I'd rather be lucky than good sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen there's some of the names on there are good. Rooster, Smoke, Princess Leia. I can tell why
Yep.
her name's that. And
Yep.
Goose and Not So Kenny. So
Yeah.
all good names on there. And I'm sure there's tons out there you can talk about. How long ago was the Motorcycle Association actually started?
So I'm gonna actually check so I don't get this wrong.
Okay.
One of the many web pages I manage has our history on it. So yeah, so 1999 was the first time we saw the Combat Vets Motorcycle Club, and then come up about 2001. There was about 50 or 60 people that finally realized through this that it was actually an internet scam. This guy was collecting money for a back patch from veterans, and then was like sending a patch, and then somebody would return that patch and he'd take somebody else's money and send them the same patch. And so for a couple of years, veteran riders thought that they were joining the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Club. And then about 2001, they realized that it was an internet scam. And so our original 45 members got together and started what eventually, through several years of working with the VFW and others, became the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association. So sometime in early 2001 was officially the beginning. And then December of 2002 was when we voted to accept our current logo. And then that's kind of solidified the organization nationally.
Outstanding. So it's not a baby anymore. It's grown. It's past the major hump of a decade where most nonprofits usually hit that wall and either splinter into other nonprofits or fall apart.
Absolutely.
You guys have jumped over that wall and kept moving forward. So that's a great feat for the whole association.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, we do some amazing work. I mean, every chapter is a 501 nonprofit. So they do a lot of impact in our local area. Our unofficial motto has always been vets helping vets. So we're connected to our veteran communities, and of course, by extension, that connects us into the larger communities that we live and work in. And our national association last year, so they do, our auxiliary does fundraising, and we do a scholarship for members, spouses, children, and grandchildren. And I think last year we gave out close to $250,000 and $180,000 in scholarships for school students,
Wow.
either high school students or adults returning to school. Several years ago, I actually got a $3,000 scholarship from that scholarship fund myself to continue working toward my master's. So yeah, we're deeply involved in local communities. I mean, it's endless, the number of things that we could talk about. Like I said, I just went out to the coast this weekend, and our 1513, our chapter out there. I think they had 300 or 400 members show up from across the East Coast for their event on Saturday at the beach there. And of course, by extension, we'll have raised thousands of dollars, and the vast majority of those funds will go back into local veteran organizations and to support local veterans directly.
Outstanding. And you said earlier, I'll make sure I heard this right. Each chapter is their own 501c, or is it one umbrella 501c for everybody?
So the national is a 501c3. And then each individual chapter, as part of their articles of incorporation and charter to be approved by national, has to also become a 501c3 or 19, which is just a veteran-specific nonprofit. So yeah, every single chapter is a 501 nonprofit organization.
That's outstanding, and to have the umbrella above them too with the national, and then every chapter can do their own and have their own, I guess, niche of things that they want to take care of in their community. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yep. And yeah, and I mean, every chapter I've been involved with, we tend to tie in with other organizations, other nonprofits, other veteran support, community support organizations. We found that spending our money to try to do a thing isn't as effective as finding those people that are already doing those things and then giving them our funds and our sweat equity and our support. We partner with a lot of organizations, the VFWs, DAVs, the Legions. I mean, just here in Fayetteville, I could list off 5 or 6 of the organizations that we partner with routinely that are, in fact, some of them aren't even veteran specific, but have a tie into our veteran community. We just escorted the 9/11 Remembrance flag here from Fort Bragg out to Camp Lejeune. That was weekend before last. So yeah, we're tied in directly with the veteran community pretty much everywhere we go. And we've got veterans all the way back to Vietnam that are members and active throughout our organization.
That's outstanding. And that generation was, when we hear the number 22, when that first number came out, it was a lot of them. It was mostly the Vietnam vets we were losing at that time. It's kind of evened up now, but
yeah,
that number dwindles a little, well, slows down. I'm not going to say dwindle. It hasn't dwindled at all, but it slows down a bit when you have organizations like the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association or the DAV and VFW that are all active and keeping people involved with stuff. When they lose that sense that they can walk out their house and go into another door and have brothers and sisters there, they can make fun of them or they can make fun of, it kind of hurts them a little bit, and that makes that darkness come a little quicker. But having these outlets really helps out.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just super impactful. I mean, every time I go out to an event, every time I go to a chapter meeting, every time I go out and go to a bike night or run into another brother or sister at dinner or at the mall or wherever, it just reminds me that like we're part of something bigger. And when you transition, when you leave the military, there's a sense of loss. Like there's a grieving going on. So much of our identity is tied up in that rank and that uniform and that title. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of the culture that we live in to be successful. But when you take those things away, it can be a lot. And you have to find your people. You have to find your tribe, as it were. And the organizations like the CVMA, the VFWs, the DAVs, like really any veteran-centered kind of organization, it fills that need. And what I found through the CVMA is it also fills that need to serve.
Yes.
Part of many of our stories as veterans is like we have this call to serve others. Maybe it's this, nebulous, serve our country, or I know when I was in Afghanistan, I didn't care about our country or our government. All I cared about was the men and women to my left and right. That's again part of our culture. But we have that call to serve, and then so finding an organization like the CVMA or any of the other like veteran-centered organizations, it gives you an opportunity to be as involved as you want and to return to that like life of service. And as I said, I've served since I joined the association. I served as a public relations officer and as a chapter commander. Now I'm working at the state level, and so it feeds that need in me to be of service to our community, to the veterans.
Definitely, just finding that sense of purpose. And you said service. Even a lot of people, they join because they don't know what to do with their hands before they join the military, and then they find that in the military, serving is what really gets them ticking, gets them that purpose. So they have to keep that or try to find that again when they get out, and finding that sense of service, that sense of purpose when they get out. That's the hard part. I know when I retired, I tell people I didn't know what to do with my hands because you stop, you just hit that wall, you take your boots off, and you're like, what do I do with these hands now? What do I do? Because I'm not getting told what to do every day. Now I have to make up those things to do, and got to find that avenue to make things right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you talk about what do I do with my hands? For me, it was where do I carry my pen?
Yep.
Like that was the, I mean, you know, at that point I was in a pretty deep dark hole that I didn't even know I was in, because I'd been undiagnosed, and of course you don't develop anxiety and depression in a day. You know, that takes a lifetime. And so yeah, like those were the kind of things that kept me awake at night. Like how am I going to dress myself? You know, where do I carry my pen? But fortunately, you know, I was lucky. My spouse pushed me to get some help, and I was willing to accept the help. And I think that's another important part of that conversation. You know, it took, I'll be honest, it took years though, before I really truly accepted the help that I needed. I was going through the motions for a long time, saying I'm working on it. I'm going to get there. So another great organization, the Wounded Warrior Program, they ran a program called the Rolling Odyssey. And so back in 2020, I took a week off work and went down to Florida, and we did a 5-day rolling trip on motorcycles with a dozen of us veterans, and we had counselors embedded with us, and the program manager, the program director, had a lot of counseling, a lot of conversations, a lot of different things were shown to us as therapies. And that, for me, that was the catalyst that truly changed my mental health journey. Somebody actually at the time was a motorcycle brother. He's since moved on to another organization, but he was a CVMA brother, but was one of the staff. And he said he was telling a story about I think Chinese proverb or practice of fixing a broken thing instead of throwing it away. That, like, say a plate will get dropped, and instead of throwing the pieces away, they'll take it and use gold or silver to repair it. And so it's actually more valuable after it was broken than before. And that story, something clicked there for me. And that was really the point where my mental health journey started really progressing, and I really started being able to move forward. I admitted to myself that I was broken, right? I'd been through things I'd seen and done and been trained, and that it was okay. Being broken is not the end. Being broken is where you are, and you can't go back. You can't fix what's been broken. But if you take where you are and you just strive to go to a little bit better tomorrow, that becomes a journey, and it becomes this path that you can be on. And then you realize very quickly that those steps get faster and faster, because every time something gets better, it just adds more fuel to the fire, and you continue getting better. And now my bad days are better than my good days used to be. And a lot of that is I can tie to that moment where I admitted that, you know, I'd been broken. I'd gone through combat. Things would never be the same, and that was okay. And so I hope there's a veteran out there right now that can hear that and understand that that's true for you too.
And that's the goal of this show: reach one, teach one. Every show, if we help one veteran, one first responder, one gold star, to maybe not take a split-second decision and do something, and stay with us and be with us tomorrow, and make every day that best day. Then we win. We win those days, and we win every day after that. So that's our goal here, and I'm glad you said it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's don't forget, we've all been there.
Yep.
Reach out, right? Like call me. I'll listen to the story and fill in the blank spots. Right. I mean, and I think that's true of every veteran. I think that's something we forget, is that, you know, we were there for each other when it counted, and it still counts. And so we're still there. So yeah, I think sometimes we forget that sometimes all you got to do is just reach out. But, you know, even then though, you know, when you're in that dark hole, it can be hard. When, you know, I've been there, I'm sure a lot of us have. When you're down in that hole, it doesn't matter how many people are reaching out. Sometimes it's hard to see them.
Yep.
So if you can hear my voice, come to the light. Like, we got you, battle. And And I can guarantee that's true of any veteran. If you reach out, I guarantee that they're there to help, because that's what we've always done. That's part of who we are.
Definitely, 100%. We got a couple questions from the audience in the chat
Absolutely.
right now. So this is from Make Ends One. What was the most challenging part of transitioning from the military life to civilian life, and how did you navigate it? Thanks, Make Ends One.
Oh, that's a great question. So for me, the biggest challenge was just the identity. I was an NCO for 17 years. So even today, after being out for 8 years, I still feel uncomfortable when people call me sir, because I spent so much of my life as sergeant. So the biggest transition for me was just that identity. I was Staff Sergeant Foster, and to become Mr. Foster, and I really had to get down to understand that all of those things that made me successful as a non-commissioned officer, as a soldier, as a leader, as a mentor, all of those skills were mine. They weren't attached to the rank or the uniform. The only thing that changed was the lens, was the title. And so for me, that was the biggest obstacle, was that identity crisis that I went through. And it really just came down to a lot of great counseling, a lot of great support from my family and my friends, and really just understanding that who I wasn't going to change. The only thing that changed was going to be just the title that went with it. I was going to become David instead of Staff Sergeant Foster.
Yeah. Angry Daisy says, hello, Kirby from Mac 1512.
Hey, Mac. Yeah, that'll be one of my chapter members here in the state.
Awesome. This one here is from Dave Was There. How did joining CVMA change your outlook on life after the military? Thanks, Dave Was There.
Yeah. So really, it was just finding a group of people that understood, finding a group of people that had been through not the same things, but understood the things that I'd been through that only another veteran can. And it just, it filled that void that I was having. And yeah, the CVMA really, it's not unique in that aspect that it fills that need, it fills that community, but it certainly does a great job of keeping me connected with that community that honestly, it's just, nobody but a veteran can understand what a veteran's been through. As much as the people who love us try, they just can't. They don't have that same frame of reference. And so I tell you, the CVMA hasn't changed my outlook from the military, from the Army. I always said it was a very hard life, but it was a good life. I was educated. I had hundreds and thousands of hours of education and training. I had an associate's and a bachelor's by the time I retired. I had unique skill sets that nobody in the civilian world had. I mean, everything from equal opportunity to motor vehicle instructor. I mean, I was a master driver at one point. And you can only get that kind of experience, that breadth of experience from the military. What I did see was a lot of my peers who stayed in a little longer than I did. I saw them go through a lot of the toxic leadership challenges. And a lot of that's still going on today, just talking with those guys on active duty, the more recently retired guys. It's a challenge, and I hope that the good people stay and continue the good fight to take care of the young men and women that we're entrusted with. But the CVMA, it just adds a whole layer of support that I wouldn't have if it wasn't for that kind of organization.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that satisfies the question from Dave Was There. I believe was that one. So,
yep.
Good question, good answer. Just a public service announcement. We are on Rates Across America radio now on 3 p.m. Eastern time on Mondays. Check us out on there. I think they're on the iHeart Radio Network and any other radio networks that have Rates Across America radio on.
That's another organization we partner with every year. Actually, the Sandhills Veterans here in Fayetteville at Fort Bragg, the CVMA chapter does all the traffic control every year for Rates Across America.
Outstanding. See a link, another link right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
This next question is from Emily in Paris, Tennessee. For veterans struggling to find that new mission, what advice do you give to help them rediscover their purpose? Thank you, Emily.
Oh, wow. Great question. There are no short answers to that question. I will say the biggest thing is you have to get out of the house. You have to go out and if it's motorcycles, go to a bike night or go to your local Harley dealer. I guarantee if there's a Harley dealer within driving distance, every Saturday there's an event. Go out and get connected. The only way to find that purpose is to go out and do things until it smacks you in the face. You have to get involved. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever feeds you, whatever fills that empty spot that you have, that's what you need to go do. If that's feeding the homeless, if that's working in your local schools or local government, if that's supporting veteran communities, it doesn't matter what it is. You just have to find that thing that feeds you, and then put your energy in it, and you'll find that you get more out of it than you put into it. And for me, that just happened to be the CVMA. I was fortunate to come across it through a coworker, and it just tied in at a time when I just needed that in my life. So yeah, the only way to find a purpose is you have to just get out of the house and reach into your community and see what gives you more than you give it. See what feeds you when you give energy into it.
From Angry Daisy again, a great part of CVMA is that you have family wherever you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an extended veteran family. Rich, you and I were talking before the show in the green room. My oldest daughter is married to a soldier, and they've got orders to Fort Campbell. And I've actually already got them in touch with the chapter there in Clarksville. The XO there happens to be a friend of mine, and so they're already connected. They're not even there yet. They won't be there for another couple of weeks, and they've already got a family. They've already got people taking care of them and their house, and they haven't even rotated out of the back to the States yet.
That's awesome. And the Army movers haven't even had a chance to lose their stuff yet, so that's good.
That's right.
Lose or damage it.
Well, yeah. So on the upside, that means nothing's broken yet.
Right. It'll happen. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
Or you're going to wind up with someone else's stuff, and it could be a win, could be a loss,
or both.
Yeah.
Or both. We've had that happen a couple of times. You get one box of somebody else's stuff. You're like, yeah.
I got that one time. It was all their cleaning supplies.
I got like posters and art one time, but it wasn't very good art.
Yeah, you take the good with the bad. Another question from probably butchered this name, but I think it's Shamil Rose. What role does riding and motorcycle culture play in your mental wellness and connection with other vets? Thank you.
So that's a great question. So as we talked earlier, many vets, we suffer from anxiety and or depression, sometimes both, sometimes one or the other. Even PTSD is technically on that same scale of anxiety and depression, just much more farther along. And the challenge with that is if you're depressed, you tend to focus on the past. And if you're anxious, you tend to focus on the future, right? But you're not focusing on any of the good things in the past or the future. You're only ever focused on the bad things. That's what causes anxiety and depression. Surprise, surprise. But when you're on a motorcycle, that is a force that will absolutely make you, with no question, be in the moment. If you ride, you understand that you have to be aware of everything going on around you. Every car, every animal, every wet spot in the road, every blade of grass, everything, you have to be aware of it. And so riding puts you in the moment. And what I've discovered, at least for me, not only does it force me to stay in the moment, it also quiets the subconscious. It allows my mind to wander. The part that's not focused on riding isn't thinking about all the things that I'm thinking about. It's allowed to wander. And so riding a motorcycle, I notice things I never see in the car: flowers on the side of the road, shadows in the trees, smells and temperatures and all of those things that you just can't spend any time focusing on when you're not specifically like in that moment. It's just this amazing, like Zen kind of feeling of being fully aware, but also not focused on anything. It's really hard to describe, but it really helps me center. It's a great stress relief for me, and for a lot of my brothers and sisters will say the same thing. That's how we get the voices to get quiet. We get out and get the wind in our hair and get that rumble. And yeah, it's just for me, it ended up being life-changing, along with all of the other things I was able to find at that same time in my life. If it weren't for motorcycling and the CVMA, I wouldn't have linked up with the Wounded Warrior program and had that odyssey that started so much of my mental health improvement. And then it's the camaraderie. It's so riding motorcycles is inherently dangerous, and I think there's something to be said about that's part of why we ride. Veterans are comfortable in high risk scenarios by virtue of the training and programming and experience that we have, and so taking that control and being in control of something that is inherently dangerous is also somehow comforting. And I think it feeds that same part of us that we were so used to having to feed every day of being ready for anything at any time.
Definitely. And, a lot of guys and gals coming back from combat, they have that adrenaline rush where they're on 24/7, and they look for an outlet. And I can't see a better outlet than riding a bike with that wind in your face and going to have that adrenaline pumping and as you're out there, because not only are you able to see everything, but you're also you got to be on guard because there's so many other bad drivers out there that, well, sometimes drive at you. So.
Absolutely.
This next question is from Sally Jezzy B. Can you share a story from one of your CVMA events that has had a lasting impact on you? Thank you,
Absolutely. So 2016, shortly after I joined, or 2017. Yeah, 2017, I went to the Region 1 rally. So the CVMA is broken into 5 regions, or 6 regions, 5 here in the States and then out and then overseas. And so Region 1 is the southeastern U.S., so Georgia, Florida, that area. So North Carolina is in Region 2, and then South Carolina is in Region 1. So kind of lay out the map. So we'd gone to the Region 1 rally. We were in Biloxi, Mississippi. See if I can say this without getting broken up. We inducted a double amputee combat vet as a full member at the region rally. Wow. Like riding a trike that had been modified, both legs above the knee, and inducted that member as a full member at the region rally. And that, I don't know if you can hear, I get a little emotional about it. That just like really cemented, especially I'd only been in the association about a year at that point. That just really cemented like what it's about. It's about the brotherhood and the camaraderie and being there for the people that deserve for you to be there.
Definitely. I'm sure that didn't just choke you up when that happened. It got into a lot of people's feels that day, and probably it was a lasting impression on every brother and sister was that it was at that rally, and the stories that they were able to tell to others when they went out of there, it probably resonated with all of them as well. That rider, was he a rider before he was an amputee, or that was something that was part of his rehab?
Honestly, I don't know any of his story. All I know is here was a brother getting a vest put on that had 2 prosthetic legs and was going to sit on his trike and ride with us. Honestly, don't know anything else about his story, but I just remember that so vividly. Short guy, kind of bald, long beard. I think he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Like that's how memorable it was.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you his name or what chapter he was in or what state he was in or anything else about his story, but I'll just never forget that double amputee combat vet got inducted and just like was it was the physical manifestation of the reason why we do it.
That's outstanding, and that's a great story. Thanks for sharing it with us. One last audience question we'll throw in here. This is from JE 2009. How can civilians support the CVMA or get involved with helping local veterans in meaningful ways? Thank you, J.E.
Thanks, Jay. That's a really great question, and I'm glad you asked. So the easiest way, if you go to our national website, it's combatvet.us. You'll find there we have a chapter map, or you can also reach out through the national, and they'll put you in touch with the closest chapter to your location. You can also reach out to me through the North Carolina site, cvmanc.com, and I'm happy to do the work to get you connected. Every chapter is a nonprofit, so we accept donations from our local communities, and beyond that, the big thing is find a connect point that you're comfortable with, and spend your time. The time is much more important than the money in the big scheme of things. We call it sweat equity. Go mow a veteran's yard that can't mow it themselves. Go help a neighbor with a fallen tree. Go pull somebody out of the mud. Those are the kind of things that matter and don't require you to spend money or to have some deep pocket or these resources that others don't. Just go out and be a member of your community and help those who need the help. You can do that through a lot of local organizations. The CVMA, like I said, we've got chapters in all 50 states and several other countries. So we're happy to get you connected. But we work with a lot of other nonprofits. And so that's the best thing to do, is just find those nonprofits that are doing the things that are taking care of the people that you want to see taken care of, and spend your time. More than your money, spend your time.
Outstanding. I've shared both links in the chat, and North Carolina chapter link is going across the bottom right there. So if you're on the video, you can see that. If you're on audio, it will be in the show notes. So you'll be able to connect with the North Carolina chapter as well as the national chapter at combatvet.us. As we start to go towards our close here, we always ask our guests a couple questions as we close. Best way to get in contact with you, David, would be?
Yeah, so through our state website, cvmanc.com. If you send we have a contact form there. You can put that in, and that'll come into my email. If you want to get with me directly, my email is spro, or is for State Public Relations Officer, so spro at cvmanc.com. I'm happy to answer emails.
All right, I'm copying that into the chat as well. It's easier to copy and paste than me to type. All right. And then the other question we ask our guests, and this is to help the Misfit Nation, to help them to be better humans. So what's 3 things they can start doing tomorrow to be better humans?
So the first one has nothing to do with being a veteran, has nothing to do with the CVMA. Everyone is having the same day you are. So before you react, before you go off, before you lift that middle finger or lay on the horn, just think, what is that person going through today? And how would I want to be treated if I was going through that? Because we don't know what somebody else is going through on any given day. And I think we all are guilty of taking that for granted sometimes. So yeah, number one, I would say just slow down and think about, would you want someone to treat you like that on the day that you're having? Better human. Just care. Honestly, just the secret to long life and happiness is just care. Whatever that means to you, whatever chord that strikes in you, just care. Just give a damn. And then really the only other advice I can give you is surround yourself with the right kind of people. Surround yourself with people that love you, that care about you, that want your well-being and happiness, not for what it can give them, but for what it gives you. And when you find those people, get them close, and don't let go of them, because those people are few and far between. And when you find them, pull them in, and they will make your life better. And by extension, you can then make others' lives better.
Definitely. Thank you. Those are 3 good ones right there. So remember, everyone's going through the same day you are, and think before you act. Number 2, care. Just care. And like Curby said, whatever that means to you, care. And then 3, surround yourself with the right people, and then hold them tight. and it's all in the chat right there. And audio, I'm sorry you can't see the chat, but you can go back on YouTube and the chat will pop up. So, brother, this was great chat. Great learning about the Motorcycle Association, because really all I know is that they drive by me and I see them on the road. And like I told you, me and motorcycles don't mix. I'm a klutz, and I'd be in a tree. I'd probably be called Tree or something like that on my hat, but I wouldn't be called Curby. So
Yeah.
I can be a supporter from the outside, and we're here.
Absolutely.
For you. Misfit Nation is here to help, and you let us know what we can do for you, and vice versa. We'll reach out to you if we need help.
Absolutely. And so just parting shot, please look out for motorcycles. We're out there, especially during this time of year, pretty much nationwide. Please look twice, save a life. I'd like to get home. So just keep an eye out. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time, Rich. Thanks for letting me kind of use your podium to share about the CVMA. To every veteran out there and every family member of veteran, you're not alone. We're all here, and we're going to be here, and we're not leaving. So don't leave. Don't punch that ticket. Come get on the train with me, and we'll ride, brother.
Definitely. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out tonight on this Sunday. Get back to the moms and give them their last dessert or whatever they get before they go to bed, and treat them right tonight. And then tomorrow you can go back to doing whatever your daily thing is with your wife or the moms in the world. But treat them right every day, and as well as you like to be treated, or bad things might happen. But
Right.
Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, help us grow so we can continue to bring great stories like this on, and help support our brothers and sisters out there. So with that, everyone, you have a good night. Be good, and be good to each other.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation Show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.